Hey y'all, we had lots of amazing tag team action on this episode of WoW. We have rivalries being set forth, you have unexpected teams coming together, and of course, we had a championship match between the Carlson twins and the Tonga twins. Welcome to the WoW After Show, y'all.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey y'all, of course, welcome to the WoW Superheroes After Show here on Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, host and writer on this lovely platform, and of course, color commentator for the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and more recently, Spartan Wrestling. This past weekend, I had a great time, commentating for their show Meltdown in Gaston, Alabama. So big shout outs to them and thank them for welcoming me into their space and for also welcoming me back at any point in my life whenever I can make room for it because life be lifing. So yeah, this is the WoW After Show. But of course, I am not alone. I am here with the returning champion of mom life, the amazing writer, the amazing host of In Cat We Trust, and just all around amazing person. It's Return of the Cat. Return of the Cat. Katrina Blake is back, y'all. She's back. How are you, Cat?
I am good. I am happy to be back. I'm sorry, guys. I had, family stuff happen and right before school starts, and so I was gone, but I am back, and I came back just in time for some fantasticness, which we would get into later in the episode. But I was very, very happy with how things played out. We've been wanting this from the very beginning, and so it was really cool to yes, thank you, universe, for listening to us girlies here at for a while after show. But I am happy to be here, and thank you for that lovely intro as always.
Absolutely. And of course, we send our love to Emily May, aka Emily Be Everywhere, because she was on Impact doing correspondent work for Emergence. So big shout outs to her for being everywhere the way that she always is, alongside Jade Chung and the rest of the Impact crew, and also with them main eventing Emergence with a women's title match between Trinity and Deonna Purrazzo for the Impact Knockouts Championship, and having, of course, a woman ring announcer and a female referee in Jessica. So, yeah, well, not Jessica, Allison, I believe. Yeah, either way, it was a female ref thrown in there, and it was just really amazing stuff. So, lots of great stuff happened in women's wrestling. We have a new NWA World Women's Champion in Kenzie Page. We have a new AEW Women's Champion in Saraya/Page. If you're not familiar with her other name outside of WWE. And of course, we have our own championship stuff going on here on WoW. But before we get to that, Katrina, how have you felt about the last few episodes of WoW, and how do you feel about this episode? Because you've been gone for a minute.
Yes. I liked it, especially because I was unfortunately I wasn't on when we had Penelope not excuse me, Vicky Lynn versus Princess Aussie. And that was a match I was actually looking forward to because we were saying that if somebody's gonna maybe bring some A game to Miss Penelope Pink, she could have been easily one of the women to kind of let Penelope know that she doesn't necessarily run wild the way she thinks she is. And I like Penelope Pink, and so there's no shade on my end, but she was definitely one of the people who I was like, okay, I wouldn't mind seeing this. And so for that match, I was actually very excited for that. And there was other matches that I enjoyed, but that was definitely one I was actually looking forward to. So I was kind of sad I wasn't on the episode. But life calls. But in this regard, this episode, I did like that we got a lot of different we had a lot of women on this episode in regards to a lot of tag or teaming type work, which I was like, okay, I like what we're doing with this. And some of them is just like, okay, let's see how this team kind of works together. And so I liked that. But again, we have been waiting for this tag match. In particular, since last year, we've been waiting to see if we were going to get what we should have gotten. And so this off that alone, before even watching any of the matches, that was something I was like, yes, because we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this, and they worked their way back up to this match, and so great episode.
Yeah, it was a fantastic episode. And of course, while you were gone, our CEO, TK Trinidad, did go to a WoW taping and of course, if you haven't looked at that vlog on our YouTube channel, please, go look at it. It was really great and very beautifully edited by Aisha. But the one thing that happened at the very end was the fact that TK decided to bring my name up to the Wild World Champion Penelope Pink, and she told me to keep talking and saying that it's nothing personal. And of course, I did cut my promo. So if you follow me on social media at Queen Steph Hardy, you will see my response, and you also see a smaller version of my response on that vlog as well. Just know that the beef between me and Penelope Pink ain't over. Okay, it's not over. It's never over. It's just going to keep going and going until somehow or another a resolution will be had. I'm not sure how, but somehow or another it's going to have to be had. I don't know if we got to roll up to a taping one day or whatever, but either way, something needs to happen because it just keeps happening. But yeah, of course, if you did watch this episode of Wild Superheroes, even though there was a lot of wrestling going on this weekend, I can kind of understand. But either way, if you did watch this episode, please chime in the comments and tell us what your favorite parts of this episode were. I see JD in the comments saying hello, and Bobby Petito on YouTube. Thank you for watching as well. So, the first match that we had was a 6-woman tag team match between Exile and Ice Cold. And of course, I'm going to call them Generation Bully Buster. That's what I'm going to call them. Team Generation Bully Buster in the form of Jennifer Flores, Keita Rush, and Steffi Slays. Now, no one really knows exactly how this match came about per se, because Jennifer Flores was getting her shine on in terms of singles work and also a little bit of tag team work, but she did have an amazing match with Tormenta a few weeks ago. So to see her in this sort of atmosphere was a little bit different, but either way, it was still cool. And then, of course, you have Exile with Genesis Exodus and Ice Cold working together pretty well. This made for a pretty stellar match to start this episode. Yeah, Jennifer Flores and Keita Rush and Steffi Slays really had a great rhythm going on with their tag team work. And something that they did kept mentioning on commentary was the fact that when it comes to Steffi Slays and Keita Rush, they're of course two of the WoW OGs, and their chemistry was really well in this match. They were hitting like double moves onto Genesis and Exodus and Ice Cold a couple of times. Like their chemistry was definitely on point, and I can definitely see why they worked so well together in the past. And it makes me wonder if at some point they could possibly go for the tag titles, later on down the road because of how good they were. And Jennifer Flores did pretty well as well. So it was pretty good. But the thing about Exile is like they were basically being really rough throughout the match. Like they were even utilizing each other's bodies as weapons, because there was one point where Ice Cold actually hit like a cartwheel over, I believe, Exodus or Genesis knee, and then hit like sort of like an arm slam onto one of the girls and the other team. So it was just a really good match, all in all. There was lots of great rhythm, going on in the match. But either way, and this part of the match was really impressive as well, as Keita Rush was tripping up Ice Cold, but then Steffi Slays knocked her down with an elbow. So it was a really impressive match in terms of tag teamwork. But in the end, Exile wound up winning the match and beating them. And this sort of made me sad because it was just like they were doing so well. Team Generation Bully Buster was doing such a good job, but they just couldn't get the upper hand over Exile. And I believe afterward, Exile did cut a promo talking about, how they have plans to run through the division or whatnot. And I thought that was pretty cool because we really don't hear that much from Exile. They usually just fight, kick butt, and leave. But they did talk and they did mention how much they want to, make their goals come true in terms of WoW in a very dangerous way. So yeah, this was really good 6-woman tag action. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both teams?
I thought that's a good open to this episode, and I did feel a little bad with reference to, like, oh, because you like Steffi, you like Kira, she like Jen, but then it's like I think in this regard, because we had Ice Cold working with Exile for some time now, I feel like they have a better uh communication style in that regard. It's like by now you should be working well together because you guys have been in so many matches or situations where you kind of have been teamed up. And while we were originally saying we didn't know why Ice Cold was with Exile, we really did not understand how did she end up in this situation. It seems to have been the smartest one she's made so far. With regard to the other team, she kind of hopped around a little bit, like here and there. This seemed to be where she settled, and it seemed to have it's working. And this was clear with the fact that while I do think, the other ladies tried really hard, I think with terms of in ring, like kind of knowing what your partners are doing or knowing what your tag mates are going to be doing, they had the upper hand in that regard. And I think this was a smart move on Ice Cold because you have women, the Exile ladies already kind of came in with the chip on the shoulder, like, we had a lot of stuff. People didn't really respect us, and now we're going to show you why they need to respect us. And so I think it was smart on Ice Cold's part to kind of align herself with them. And so far, for the most part, it has been working out. And so I think that this is a smart choice. But I do think this was a really good open. And I kind of like to see, like, I'm always funny about 6 man, 6 women tags because it's like sometimes it gets so messy when there's so many parties in the ring. But this was done well where I wasn't like, oh God, like overwhelmed with it. Like, why are we having all this going on? It was nice moments where we can see what was going on in the matches. We didn't really miss anything that was happening. And I do think even with regards to Ice Cold and Exile, seeing whatever we can move the story with this group going forward, it also was nice to kind of see while Jen had been doing her thing solo, she was with a team for a little bit also. Kind of just like a nice little ode really quick. Let's throw you back in there with women you have teamed up with before. So I thought it was a good way to open up this episode.
Yeah, it really was. It was really stellar, 6 woman action, and hopefully we will get to see more of what Ice Cold has to offer. And something that I did notice in this episode was when they announced that Exile was coming to the ring along with Ice Cold, they also sort of showed Malia Hosaka in the card, and we hadn't really seen much of her in such a long time after Genesis and Exodus, I guess left her off screen. So, do you think maybe we would see Malia Osaka again in the new season, or maybe that was just a mistake or on production tab, or what?
I mean, it could have been a mistake, but we was also kind of wondering what happened. Like one week she was there, and the next minute it was kind of alone. And we was like, wait, like okay, not to, and this is not shade to them, but when you think of kind of the woman who was really like no holds barred, Malaya Hassan, she was on it. Like every match they had, she was really on it, not letting up off her opponent. And I feel like when you're trying to, again, when you have women in WoW, where you have so many different people who can be really hard hitting or dominant, you need somebody like that and on a stable or on a team. And so I was wondering, so I'm hoping it's not a production error. I hope nobody didn't have a little slipperoo with keyboard. I'm hoping that means we are going to see her back soon because while she was a little mean in her approach, I do respect the person who handled her own, and she could. And so, and then also she's a legend. I feel, you know what I mean? It's always nice to have some legends. They're doing their thing. And so I'm hoping it wasn't like a little slip up and it was just we'll see her soon. I'm hoping.
Yeah, we are hoping to see more of the WoW OG Malia Hosaka again. There's a lot of personalities who I can't wait to see in this second season of WoW. But either way, Exile got the upper hand and they got the win. They seem to be doing relatively well even without her guidance. But I wonder, if that makes her feel some type of way. But maybe we'll find out later down the road. But in the comments, I see Goth Vegan watching on Twitch saying, "Y'all got me so excited about WoW last week. I made sure to watch Saturday, and I'm so happy you did. I'm so happy you did, Goth Vegan." And of course, Bobby Petito saying, "I'm a fan of Jennifer Flores." Me too. She is fantastic, and she will definitely continue to go far. As WoW continues to grow and as she continues to grow in and out of WoW too. So the next match was another tag team match between the Disciplinarian and G.I. Jane versus Foxy Fierce and Candy Crush. Now, of course, last week, Foxy Fierce actually came out with a huge win, and Candy Crush had a little bit of a good win too. And it's just like, yeah, this was kind of surprising for me to see Foxy Fierce and Candy Crush as a tag team, because normally when you see Foxy Fierce, she'll come out with Chantilly Chella, or Candy Crush here lately has been tagging with Princess Aussie. But of course, Princess Aussie is on her journey towards the WoW World title, and I guess Chantilly is just sort of regathering herself. So now we have this tag team, and it's been a minute since we've seen the Disciplinarian and GI Jane together as well. And you have Samantha Smart there as well too. So this match was pretty good. Of course, GI Jane had her power on display, and then you have Disciplinarian with all of her strength on display as well. And of course, GI Jane proceeded to be more and more impressive as she would slam Candy Crush down and throw her, across the ring and stuff, and doing push-ups on her back and everything. Like, G.I. Jane is mad mad disrespectful. But the one thing that I did enjoy was the fact that Foxy Fierce was utilizing a lot of her quickness and agility to sort of maneuver out of certain things that G.I. Jane and the Disciplinarian would try to put on her. And she just continues to improve every time we see her in the ring. And I just love seeing all this black girl magic in the ring too, because what? It was just really beautiful to see. So this match was really hard hitting, and it really showed the best of what all these women had to offer. But at one point, I believe the Disciplinarian got tagged back in, and she had knocked and threw Foxy Fierce out of the ring, but then Candy Crush took advantage and hit her knockout punch to the Disciplinarian for the 1, 2, 3, and Candy Crush and Foxy Fierce won the match. So that was really surprising, and not even just surprising, but you also had Samantha Smart in there trying to cheat and distract and also use her yardstick onto Foxy Fierce as she was getting choked out on the ropes and everything. But here again, the IQ superior girl couldn't even help GI Jane and the Disciplinarian in this case, and Candy Crush and Foxy Fierce won. So Katrina, how did you feel about the performance of the Disciplinarian and GI Jane, and what do you think they could have done better in order to defeat Candy and Foxy?
One, to all this black girl magic, it's always nice to see these ladies in the ring. I think we've both said previously that, and again, I like that the Disciplinarian again have been trying to use her height and size. I feel like if you have it, use it, and she's definitely been getting better. I don't know if it's because she teamed up with GI Jane and that it's making her more confident in doing it. And then again, GI Jane with the push-ups, like I can't really get a push-up in correctly, and so her doing that's always like, yes, because I can't do all that. That's not my lane. But I do think in this regard, and it was nice to see, like, I like that Foxy had a nice win last week, but then it was also, and this is again, I get that Princess Aussie is on her journey, and you got Candy Crush, who kind of was on a journey, and then kind of got halted with all the nonsense that was going on with her. But it's nice to kind of see, like, okay, let's see what they can do together. It's like they're kind of like acquaintances in a way, but then so they worked pretty well together. And I was surprised in that regard, only because we don't normally see them tag together, that they got it. But I feel like if anything, that just speaks to Candy Crush using her determination to get the win and get the victory for the team. And I don't think this is anything necessarily wrong with GI Jane, because I felt like they've been working a lot better in the last recent matches we've seen them in. They have worked a lot better together, and I do think they are a fantastic team together. I'm not too sure what Samantha Smart was doing this time. I feel like she wasn't on her A game, and it comes to like when she wants to like do stuff or involve. Normally she's more extra about it, and she didn't do as I thought she would have in this. And so maybe that's what it was. I don't want to say their team is only good as Samantha Smart is on kind of trying to I don't want to say that, because I don't think it's that. I just think, if anything, Candy Crush's determination is what saved that match for them, because there were times where I'm like, oh, this could have went a whole different way, because G.I. Jane did seem upset. And it could also have been that sometimes when you're too upset, you don't actually look at things the way you need to look at it. And you might not be as level-headed, clear-headed about it. And so that could have changed how she went about the match as well. And so I think they did well. I just think in this regard, it was just Candy Crush really pulled one out, like, listen, we're going to take this. And again, it's kind of nice. And this is, it's like you want black women to win. You really do. But then in this regard, you also, it's like, well, Foxy, I felt like a lot of times she didn't get the moment she needs to have. And she's kind of on a good trajectory that I hope it continues. And so it's like, as much as I like G.I. Jane, as much as like I want, Foxy too. And it's like always really hard when they're on opposing sides, because it's like, who you choose. But in this regard, it's kind of nice to keep momentum up, in particular for Foxy Fierce, thinking about like LA Comic Con, how we was really hoping, again, no shade to Penelope, but we were hoping, just to kind of
But all
see.
shade to Penelope.
We were hoping that Foxy could have very well taken the belt because she was the last woman standing with her. And so it's kind of nice to see her once again back on a winning streak, back on a winning trajectory. And maybe even though we are rooting for Princess Aussie as well, who knows if we can see Foxy next in line to, get a title shot and get it where it's no nonsense or anything. And so I thought it was a good match, but I think to keep up the momentum, it was good for Candy Crush and Foxy Fierce to win this.
Absolutely. And what's so amazing about the rise of Foxy Fierce, and I love that Nikki, our senior writer, Nikki Bougie, and also TK came on last week with me to discuss it. It's just like Foxy Fierce just has it to me. Like, she, not even just because she is a black woman like me, she just has it. She has the, like, they even mentioned on commentary, it's just like she just has the type of personality that you would put out there to be the face of your company, if you wanted to send her somewhere to represent WoW incredibly well. She has great qualities. She's eloquent, she's beautiful, she's educated, she's excellent, and doesn't feel apologetic about it. Like, she's just amazing. So, and even last week when she fought against Robbie Rocket, like, that was an amazing match, going up against someone who is more, I guess you could say, in a sense, more experienced in wrestling, even outside of WoW, in comparison to Foxy, but she held her own incredibly well. So it's just like, when you see her on that rise, maybe at some point you can see someone like her rising up to be able to face Penelope Pink, again down the line, like you said, how she faced her at LA Comic Con. Even though Princess Aussie is an amazing contender and she definitely deserves that opportunity, if you're looking at anybody else to become the WoW World Champion, you can look no further than Foxy Fierce. She just has it all together, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. So yeah, her participating in tag team stuff as well as single stuff makes a whole lot of sense for her to rise through. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, in the comments we have Latanya Sylvester watching on YouTube. Thank you for looking. It says, my apologies, I'm talking to my phone. What I meant to say, what are your thoughts on AJ Lee not coming back for the new season? Yeah, we're sad. We're sad.
Definitely are. I do like that. I believe she's going to be in season 2, which is currently happening of Heels. And I'm like, get your coins, AJ, get your coins. But also, I think she was a nice, refreshing part to have on commentary. And because she's not like an act, she's not like, she didn't get in wrestling doing commentary. She got in wrestling doing wrestling. And then we never thought we would see her wrestling anything ever again. Like, it was seen that she was washing her hands. And so to have her be there, I thought was definitely nice to see that. I think it was as a fan of her, but also just watching WoW for me the first time when we started doing this show. It's like, oh, nice. We kind of get some insight from somebody who also worked the ring inside the ring before. And that's a little different of an insight than somebody who's just there to commentate. And so it's sad. But I hope whatever she has going forward, it's everything she wants it to be. I hope she has a lot of success. But I am sad because I thought she was a really good part of WoW. But it's, we'll see what, maybe she'll pop back in at some other point later on for a different season or surprise us. But I am a little sad about it. I am.
Yeah, and I know I've said this before, but I am really upset about it myself, because she's also executive producer of WoW too. So there is a level of believing in this product that she has, considering when you think about the time in which, she made her strides in women's wrestling. It was during a time of course, the 2010s when women's wrestling, or at least on the mainstream side of WWE, was sort of going through a struggle bus phase, but still trying to find its way towards more equality and more time for the women. And she was a big part of that, change and growth. And a lot of people have argued that AJ was far ahead of her time. Like, if she was wrestling now and if she was completely well, and wrestling now, she would have thrived a whole lot more. But for what she did do for women's wrestling during the time in which she did it, she hit it hard and she did an amazing job. So generationally, her on a show like WoW, it's kind of like a really good gateway into a level of women's wrestling that you might not have ever watched before because of her past work. So it is sad that she won't be able to come back. But, in wrestling, you're never truly done with anything. So I'm still sort of hoping that maybe one day, she will, sort of come back and play a little bit and might do a little bit more, or might be a general manager, wow, or something. But regardless of whatever she does, whether it be comic writing, TV show writing, because she does a whole lot, with her writing career as well, she'll be successful in it, and we'll be rooting for her every step of the way. But either way, we will miss her voice there. And also, Latanya is also, wait, we have Bobby saying that he'd like to see more of Ariel Sky on WoW. Yeah, me too. Ariel Sky is very talented. We love her. Latanya also said, talking through my phone again, ladies, who do you think will be great commentary for them this new season? I think it should be you two lovely ladies. Oh, ma'am.
That's really sweet.
Oh, ma'am.
Listen,
that is so nice.
Throwing it out there in the universe. Wow, we love you, ladies. All there, you guys guys treated us when we were there in LA like family. Like that's one of the things I kept saying. Like you guys really made us feel like we were part of the team, and we was just there. So we would love that. I would do whatever you need me to do. Is what the
exactly.
Pretty much whatever you want to fit me in. I'm okay with that. I would love to work well. Again, amazing group of ladies, and everybody was so kind to us when we were in LA.
Yeah, they treated us like we were family, and I loved it. It was just absolutely amazing. So if there is ever anything that they would want us to do for them, we will be all for it. Plane tickets booked, everything. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. But Latanya, thank you for putting that into the atmosphere, for us, because we love this brand a lot, and they've shown love to us. So if there's any way that we could fully connect in that way with commentary, backstage correspondence, any way, shape, or form, we would love it. We would absolutely love it. So yeah, just lots of amazing stuff on the horizon. But of course, before we get into the second half of this amazing card of this great episode of WoW, we got to take a quick break because y'all do need to know what other stuff we got going on here on Women's Wrestling Talk. So we're going to take a quick break and be right back.
Hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw post-show, WoW post-show, AEW Dynamite post-show, Women's Wrestling Army post-show, NXT post-show, Impact Wrestling post-show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live post-show, On the Scroll, ROH post-show, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Yes, and of course, shout out to TK Trinidad, our fabulous CEO, who holds it down, and all of the other women on Women's Wrestling Talk who have consistently held it down, especially this past weekend. My gosh, there was so much wrestling happening between NWA 75, Emergence with Impact, and of course, AEW's All In. We even had representation at All In via Lyric. We thank God for her, and every other higher power for her. Like we're just so grateful for her and being able to be a part of that, and just so many of us just doing amazing things and keeping the brand rolling, whether it's on screen or off screen. We gets it done here at Women's Wrestling Talk. So of course, just continue to support us and watch all of our shows, because you just never know where we might pop up. We might pop up in your city. You never know. So back to the episode. We had another 6-woman tag team match, which surprised the crap out of me when this was announced on social media. Like, I'm not gonna hold you, this really did shock me. You had Americana and Spring Break 24/7 in Sandy Shore and Crystal Waters versus Fury of the Heavy Metal Sisters and Holidead and Siren the Voodoo Doll. This really freaked me out on the part of Fury because, of course, they did say on commentary that off screen that the other two heavy metal sisters, Razor and Mesmeriah, were banned from ringside. So she needed, two other tag team members, and she got the help of Holidead and Siren the Voodoo Doll. And this was just really different because they've never really worked together before, as far as I know. So I was just wondering how exactly this was going to work out. And it worked out until it didn't. It worked until it didn't, okay? And Americana, and granted, Spring Break 24/7 came in hot. They started fighting immediately. They wanted to fight these girls like full on, like they did not wait. They got to the action immediately. And something that I really loved about Spring Break 24/7 is something that I love aesthetically is when I see people dress up in bright colors and go to moving like real fast. It's almost like, I don't know if you are a fan of college football and you've seen the Oregon Ducks. They have the brightest uniforms in all of college football in neon green and everything. But every time they would move like really fast, and it's just something aesthetically pleasing about that. That was what watching Americana and Spring Break 24/7 was like. They were ducking and dodging for every big blow that Holidead and Siren and Voodoo Doll would try to hit on them. Like they were just agile throughout the entire match, and I loved it. You had Americana with her patented backflips because she's a gymnast. Like that was just amazing stuff. But then you also had a lot of great power moves from Team Darkness and Fury as well. And then, of course, they kept isolating Team 24/7. And then, of course, using their boots on the turnbuckle and running each member of 24/7 and Americana into their boots and everything. But there was a communication breakdown because Fury decided she was going to start bossing Holidead and Siren the Voodoo Doll around. They didn't take too kindly to that. And Siren, who had an impressive run in this match, especially showing her Northern Light suplex, she decided to punch Fury in the face. And then Holidead hit her, and they just left her behind and left her to fight the match by herself. And this was where I was looking confused because I'm just like, so I guess the heavy metal sisters couldn't have come out, but it's just like, yo, people have broken the rules for far less on here sometimes. So I'm just like, so ain't nobody gonna help Fury? But the other team took it to their advantage. They pulled Fury towards the middle of the apron, and Americana hit her moonsault splash and covered her for the 1-2-3. And Team Americana Spring Break 24/7 wound up winning the match and getting revenge onto the Heavy Metal Sisters in a way for destroying Levi's tablet and for hurting Jesse Jones, who is her best friend. So yeah, that was pretty interesting stuff there. But I wonder if this is going to lead to a fight between the Heavy Metal Sisters and Siren and Holidead. But Katrina, how did you feel about this match?
I'm with you, and I'm surprised when this was announced because I was like, okay, well, this is random. And not to say, again, this is not shade to anybody. It was very random because I get why the Heavy Metal Sisters was barred, and because the last couple of weeks they have been engaging in stuff where somebody will have a match and here they go doing stuff on the outside and causing the match to not go the way it could have went or whatever the case would be. So that was probably one of the smartest decisions WoW has done because I've been questioning their decision-making choices with allowing certain people at the ringside when stuff was going down. And so this was one of the smarter choices. But I was surprised because if you think about now how the Heavy Metal Sisters even reacted together and how we was questioning were they even going to stay together because, Fury and Razor got into it a few times. I didn't think it was going to last long because the fact that she went right to trying to boss him around proved that point of, oh, you think you're the leader for everybody. And while you was teaming with these ladies for this match, you're not you're not part of their squad. They have an extra squad member, which will be in Chainsaw. And so to have, you come and think you're going to just be telling things, I was not surprised. And it was one of those like, well, there's some sisters and I understand because I don't like people talking to me crazy either. I totally understood. I don't know if I would do all that, but I would have left. Definitely would have left. And like, you know what? Whatever. Because you're not going to be talking to me crazy. Like, not me. And so I understood it. I was like rooted for that just because I'm like, I personally don't like people talking to me crazy either. And like, you can't go to another team acting bossy when you're not even part of the regular team. You're doing a moment for this one match, work together, and then figure it out afterwards if there's going to be anything else. But it was just this one off. So that was Fairy's mistake. And I can't say I think it was smart for the ladies. It would have been really weird if that happened and they didn't win this. Like, let's not be let's not be ridiculous. Like, you guys had 3-on-1 at one point. Y'all should have won this. And it was good. To kind of see that. I do think it was a nice contrast. Maybe that was done on purpose. You have women who are more dark in appearance as far as clothes. You have Siren the Voodoo doll, and you have Holidead, who's more spooky, more creepy. And then you have Fury, who's literally part of Heavy Metal Sisters. And you think about heavy metal type look, then you have these three ladies with like nice bright sunshine, like summery type colors. And I think maybe that was done on purpose. I mean, maybe it was done to kind of see the difference aesthetically. But I thought it was a really like good match, and but I thought it was smart. And Fury, because it could very well end up being, maybe Fury and Razor versus Holidead and Siren, because Chainsaw has been on her own little thing on the side, and maybe it'll be the three of them versus, and Chainsaw. It could really well be that, but in this regard, this is on Fury, because sometimes it's okay not to say anything. It's okay to do your job and keep quiet, and everything doesn't need you to be bossy. As an older sister, as I said, the older siblings can be a bit bossy, and it's possible. But in this regard, these were not your sisters. This was just two ladies you were teaming up with for this match, and you didn't have to do all that. And so clearly, this didn't work out for her and Americana and Crystal and crap, her name. I forgot her name just that quick.
Sandy
But
Shore.
yes, Sandy Shore, they got the win, and I think it was well deserved in this regard, just because Fury came in there clearly feeling like she was the HBIC.
Yeah, and then the thing is, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You asking them for help. Like, if you're asking them for help, then how is it that you are the one that's bossing them around? By all means, you should be humble and just be happy that you're getting the help, as opposed to talking to them like they're crazy. And plus, these women have dark magic powers. What makes you think they can't send any horrible spirits to come after you, like the spirits got the Shadow Man and the Princess and the Frog? Like, why would you play like that? Like, these women are of the night. They don't care. Like, they will cast spells on you. I guess maybe she was absent during the whole little thing that they had going on with Candy Crush and how they kept torturing her and all of the above. But either way, she really just needed to chill, because here again, you can't just go treating people all kinds of wrong and bossing people around, especially if you're coming to them for help. By all means, you need to chill and sit down. And that wound up costing her greatly. But Eric Isaac has a pretty amazing comment in on YouTube. Thank you for watching. He's saying, wow, no pun intended. But Siren and Holiday are making a lot of enemies lately. First, the Last Call, and now the Heavy Metal Sisters. You are absolutely right about that, because they did fight the Last Call last week. And, that was a pretty intense match and stuff like that. And then now they have this possible beef that could be cooking along with the Heavy Metal Sisters. So that could mean a lot of different problems for them. It really could mean a lot of different problems for them. So I'm glad you brought that up, Eric. But Bobby in the comments is saying, who would you guys like to see wrestle at WoW? Okay.
That haven't been there already?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because there's a few ladies I know. I wouldn't mind seeing, and because she lives in the area, like Jen Savani, Viva Van. I wouldn't mind seeing there. These are ladies that are in that area. I wouldn't mind seeing Notorious Mimi, and if you didn't know who that is, she was in WWE NXT as Sloane Jacobs, and she has quite a bit of her indie gimmick in itself. I feel will fit wow, if they ever felt the need to call her there. I actually wouldn't even mind seeing Vita Von Star. I don't know if anybody knows who she is, but she's definitely a big deal on the East Coast. And she has this whole thing that kind of falls in line where she could probably fit in with Holidead at some. I mean, I don't think it would be a lasting thing, but her, her vibes can definitely, I can see it happening. So those are some ladies, just some that live over there, but also I'm like, oh, this could work for a while if they do this correctly. That I wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Vicious Vicky. Like
Yeah,
that's
her too.
somebody, like she's not in my area, but I know her through Rob Williams, shout out to Bob Culture Podcast. I know her and she's been a really dominant champion, and her social media presence is getting bigger and bigger. And I believe she's also a part of the Last Match musical, if I'm not mistaken. If she was on WoW, I feel like that would be amazing. So yeah, that's somebody I wouldn't mind seeing. Bobby Petito saying Alex Garcia? Is that what
If
you
I
meant? Or
remember
Gracia?
correctly, she was supposed to
Oh
go to
wow.
WoW, but then
Mm-hmm.
something changed and she put an announcement that I remember. So she was supposed to be there, but I don't know exactly what happened. Where she did say that she wouldn't be part of it anymore. I don't know the logistics. I next saw that, but I did remember she was supposed to originally, sorry guys, New York. When they made the first announcement that AJ Lee was coming and everything, that she was supposed to be one of the women on that. I remember her being a part of the photo, but then she decided she wasn't. So I'm not really sure what happened with that, but I wouldn't have minded seeing her either.
Yeah, Latanya in the comments is saying that she wanted to answer Bobby's question. Like, we love this interaction in the comments, guys. Even though I know she probably wouldn't because she's the former NWA champion, Camille. I would like to see her versus the Beast. Ooh, that might be a yummy, yummy match between Camille and the Beast. So for those who might not know or might not watch NWA, Camille is, I believe, maybe one of the longest reigning NWA World Women's Champions of all time, and she did just lose her title to Kenzie Page this weekend at NWA 75, night 2, I believe. So
Yep.
that would be amazing if someone like her, who's so beautiful and statuesque, would fight someone like the Beast. That would be really cool. I'm still sort of low key holding out hope for Jazz versus the Beast, but you just never know with that. But either way, it would just be really cool. All great suggestions, by the way, in the comments, and also from you, Katrina. And it's just really amazing suggestions. You just never know who might pop up on WoW. But either way, it would be really great to see everyone come to WoW because it's that promotion, for women's wrestling. So come one, come all at this point. That's what I say. So we got to get to this main event. We got to get to this main event, Lord. We got to get to
You.
this main event. We got to get to the main event. I'm so excited. Oh my God. So, the main event on this episode of WoW was a Falls Count Anywhere match for the WoW Tag Team Championships between Miami Sweet Heat, the Carlson Twins, Lindsey and Laurie, versus the Tonga Twins. Now, of course, if you've been watching our after show since this iteration of WoW has started, you know that we have been big fans of the Tonga Twins. We've been fans of Miami Sweet Heat. I will say that because they are an amazing tag team outside of the shenanigans of the Fab Four. They're an amazing tag team. And of course, they did make history with their matchup, being the first two sets of twins to ever fight for a title in this way. So they are history making in that aspect. And that match was a little bit tainted, of course, because this was for the vacant titles at the time, and it was for the tournament. It was during that tag team tournament, and it was tainted because Penelope Pink and Lana Starr inserted their business where it shouldn't have been, and it was just ratchet, and I hated it. So yeah, the Tonga Twins worked their way back up the ladder throughout the tag division, even helped some friends along the way in Laia Makoa and Tiki Chamara with the Island Dynasty. And they really did work their hardest to get back to this point, even fighting the Carlson Twins multiple other times to no avail. It's been a crazy ride. It's been a crazy journey. So now this match had to be it, right? Like this match had to be it, and I believe that's why they named it Falls Count Anywhere, because there was no rules, there was no DQ, there was no shenanigans afoot, and even Lana Starr and Vicky Lynn McCoy didn't even come out with them this time because they actually for once believed in the Carlson Twins' ability to retain the titles. And I thought, well, that's different. What about all the other times they were trying to fight for their titles and you interfered on their behalf? Why weren't you believing in them then? But okay, here we are here with this match. And it was really hard hitting. Like, it was some pretty crazy stuff. They started fighting almost immediately. They were beating each other inside of the ring with tag team maneuvers, but it wasn't a whole lot of maneuvers like we saw in the beginning of the episode, they used weapons, and I love me some weapons. They used trash can lids, they used trash cans, they used folding chairs. Shout out to Big Bama Energy, that's us. They were using all kinds of crazy things in order to destroy each other in this match, and I loved it. They were throwing each other into the barricades, you know. They were somehow or another knocking down AJ Lee's cell phone as they were moving the barricades back and forth. Like, they were just destroying each other back, like, throughout this match, and I really appreciate it. And at one point, it even looked like the Carlson twins were running away, but they were getting more weapons, and I was just like, yes, yes, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is perfect. But where everything started breaking down for the Carlson twins was the fact that they brought two chairs into the ring and acted like they wanted to slam one of the Tonga twins into it, but then they wound up reversing it. And one of them got hit again with the lid and got knocked out of the ring. And I believe it was like one of the twins, Lindsey or Laurie, got a Samoan drop into the chair, and then her face hit the chair, and then they covered her up for the Samoan drop and covered her for the 1, 2, 3. And y'all, we have new WoW tag team champions. Did y'all hear me? Did y'all hear me? We have new WoW tag team champions. WOW World Tag Team Champions in the Tonga Twins. And you could tell it meant so much to them. They were holding the titles, crying. They had confetti all over the place. Like, it was just a whole party up in there because these women worked their way and clawed their way through in order to be the best tag team throughout WoW. And now they have reached the pinnacle and won those beautiful purple and silver titles. And now, when you think about the Fab Four, they only have one title on their mantle now. Just one. I can't believe it. It's like we live in a parallel universe, and the comments are going crazy right now. Latanya saying congratulations to the twins. I've been pulling for them for the longest. Eric saying congrats to the Tonga twins. They are well-deserved champions and proud to be a great fan of them. Hashtag Island Dynasty rules. Yes. Also, well, I'll get to that later. She's also saying I'm thinking it's either Vicky Lynn or the current champion because that needs to be addressed. I love this match. And I think Latanya was talking about also, when the new season starts, do you think they will address who was the one who broke the Beast's leg? Oh, I'm definitely sure they're going to talk about that because Beast is going to be in the second season. So I know they're going to have to address that. They're going to have to. And it might have literally been Vicky Lynn because I feel like it definitely was one of the members of the Fab Four because they drove up in this nice white car that looked like it could have been like a BMW or any luxury car that's out of my price range, you know, and they were covered up and we couldn't tell, but it could have been either one of them. Goth Vegan said, I love this match. Me too. So yeah, like, it was just a hard fought match. It was very extreme. It was something that Stephen Dickey kept mentioning would make a lot of people in Philadelphia proud because of course that's the home of ECW, you know. And then you also think of Terry Funk, who just recently passed on last week, and how he was definitely a purveyor of the hardcore stuff. So he might have loved this match too. So it's just like, you know, it was just lots of extreme vibes going on. But we got new champions. That's really the biggest thing. Like, and these women really made history, you know, for their representation in terms of Tongan women, you know, and Pacific Islanders just continuing to rise to the top of the ranks in all of wrestling, not even just in WWE with the Bloodline, but just in every other space in wrestling too. And now it's even happening for the women. So we love Pacific Islander people, and just to see them rise like this, which is amazing and refreshing to see. I wish I could have, you know, watched it as it happened on television, but I couldn't because I was working an event. But either way, it was so amazing to see because we've watched them from the beginning, and now here they are, and they are the WoW Tag Team Champions. But let me stop talking. Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and how do you feel about us finally being where we wanted to be?
I'm gonna apologize in advance. I think they're doing fireworks by me, and so if you hear it really loud, that's what it is. But yes, as we said earlier in the episode, we from the very beginning, when we started doing this after show and we knew we were going to get some new tag champions, I said that the Tongers were my go-to. I stood by that. Not, and this is no shit, because I do think Miami Sweet Heat are good. And again, I mean, I'm a twin. I don't have a twin sister, but I am a twin. And the twin magic thing, clearly both teams have that. You got twin sisters, you got the sister vibe, the twin vibe. But I always said it should have been a Tonga Twins from the very beginning. And when we were supposed to originally get that match, the very first time, there was shenanigans. The match never happened. And then we got it the second time, and there was more shenanigans. And then Miami Sweet Heat got it. And then they kept making sure the Tonga Twins couldn't get involved. And then there was the thing with Coach Kevin Lee and Randy Rara. So when they were making their way back, and I'm like, this is their time to finally get the match, for it to be, and I think this is a perfect way to kind of tie up the feud of having where it's like kind of all hand, do whatever you need to do, take the gloves off, get, if you need to get a little bit more extra than you normally will get, do that. I also really appreciate it, because I've said this, and again, Lana Star's cool peoples, they're cool peoples and all, but I definitely did say that I kind of need them to have a match with no interference. And I feel like WoW heard us speak this into the universe. They watched the show and was like, you know what, ladies, we got y'all, and we got a match with, even though they probably could have interfered because there was no DQ, they surprisingly did not. And that makes this all the more better for me, because they was able to win it without shenanigans. They was able to win it without anything. The Miami Sweet Heat didn't keep it because of shenanigans. It was just they happened to lose. And so, I'm really, really happy about this. I've been wanting these ladies to have this belt since last year. We've been waiting for this since the last year. I've been on, and I liked all the tag teams we had, but the Tongas were my favorite team, because they were dominant, they were sisters, they were women of color, it was all these things that I loved. And so I am so glad. I was really happy. I felt like I was like there when I finally got to watch the match. I wish I was there, because I would have been talking all types of nonsense in the audience, like, yes, ladies, I've been screaming and cheering and all this stuff, just to kind of show how excited I was for this. I was very glad with this outcome. I've been wanting this outcome. Again, no shade to the ladies of the Fab Four, but I've been going for the Tonga Twins from the very beginning, and I think this is well deserved. I believe they should have had it in the first place. It was all this nonsense involved with those matches before that I thought they should have had in the first place. And this time they showed them why they should have had it, and I'm just so glad. And while I did see the message, because I did see their message after, and they were kind of talking some smack, Miami Sweet Heat, when it was like, just keep the belts warm for us and don't stretch it out so it can fit us perfectly. They was talking a little smackety smack. I still believe the Tongas, my girlies, was supposed to win this, and I'm so glad. I am so happy for them, and I really hope they are allowed to have the most dominating, as possible dominating run with these titles. I was very happy about this. This was like, wow, I was like, thank you, wow, for getting us together this episode, because we have complained about interference even earlier, having Fury not the heavy metal not being there, the heavy metal sisters. I was like, oh, you guys are listening finally. We've been saying this for months, like, stop with these shenanigans. We're having people interfere in these matches and messing up outcomes. And so I'm just glad that we got new champions, and I just can't wait to see what they do going forward with belts.
Yeah, and I will give credit where credit is due. When they were talking mess at the Tonga Twins, on social media, they mentioned how many days they were champions, like over 180 something days. And that's to be commended, honestly. That is really definitely to be credited and give love to them for, because I believe that even if they had not aligned themselves with the Fab Four, they would still be, really great champions on their own anyway. They didn't necessarily need anybody to help them win at all. They were just really good on their own. Like, if you were to go back and watch the match, which you can do on YouTube, if you were to go back and watch the match that they initially had, for the vacant titles, that match was fantastic until it was ruined by Penelope and Lana. And it's just like, they probably could have held those titles, of their own merit on their own, if they had not have had interference thrown in there. They are an amazing tag team. Lindsey and Laurie did a phenomenal job as, champions. They probably would have done, way more or way better if it wasn't for, the negative influence of the Fab Four. But, they might want their rematch. And of course, I'm more than sure the Tonga Twins will be happy to give it to them and probably beat them up for it so they can keep their titles. So I'm here for it. I'm okay for all of it. But the one thing I do wonder though is what's going to happen with their standing in the Fab Four. Is it going to be a situation where Penelope and Lana and Vicky Lynn gonna start treating them different because they don't have the titles? Are they just gonna kick them out because they don't have gold anymore? Or they're just gonna be, well, okay, they're still the Fab Four, and we're just got a plot and scheme to try to, further cheat and get the titles back. Like, I'm wondering what's gonna happen with that. But either way, I'm just so happy and thrilled for Chaos and Kona, who are trained, by Samoan royalty, when it comes to their wrestling career. They were trained by Rikishi. They were picked out, by The Rock's mother, Ada Johnson, who told them they should be wrestlers and stuff like that. And then, of course, they've had to fight through so many other things to make their dreams come true to be wrestlers. So the fact that they've made it, to this high of a pinnacle in during a time of which, people are wanting more still for women's wrestling, it's a beautiful thing. And I hope that they just continue to hold those titles for as long as they possibly can. They deserve this. We love them here. And hopefully at some point, maybe we can interview them later on because, they're new champions. We would
Yes,
love to talk to
please.
them. We would
Yes,
love to talk
please.
to them, and see where their heads are at and what their journeys have been, throughout WoW. Like, that would be amazing. So somehow or another, we got to work that out. But congratulations to the Tonga Twins for being the new WoW tag team champions. I'm so excited for them. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode of the Wild Superheroes After Show. Of course, thank you all so much for watching and engaging in the comments. Bobby Petito saying, I always enjoy watching WoW. I'm so happy that you are. I'm so happy that people's minds and hearts are being open to this beautiful, colorful, amazing, different type of all women's show, but still an all women's wrestling show all the same. And I'm happy that we even get to be a part of it and support it the way that we do every week and just continue to just help it to grow. So yeah, just continue to support the show. Figure out where it comes on for you on wowe.com. That's their official website. If you want to support them, buy their merchandise on amazon.com/wow superheroes. And you can of course watch their episodes on YouTube whenever they post their matches on there. And you can watch it on Pluto TV as well. And then they also have documentaries on Pluto TV that you can watch too. So yeah, they just have amazing content to support them with. So just continue to support them as they continue to just grow more as a beautiful all women's division. Goth Vegan saying wow is so much fun to watch. It really is. And I'm so happy you guys feel that way, and hopefully the audience can continue to grow more and more. So, Katrina, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
I can be found and followed on most social media platforms in Cat We Trust, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, because I refuse to call that X. The E is a 3. I refuse. I did recently re-interview Rebby Hardy, my girly. So if you haven't had it, you haven't had a chance to check out or pre-order her new book, which I think has a very lovely message. Definitely go check that out. I have quite a few. I was on break, guys, and so I totally slacked with the videos, but I have quite a few reviews coming up. Quite a few reviews, actually, at least 7. And so those will be up soon. And this is the first time I'm actually officially announcing it. But if you are in Vegas in October, me and Boss Lady TK Trinidad will be part of TwitchCon to be talking about the pro wrestling, and I had to make it very clear that we're gonna talk about some women's wrestling because that's what I do. And so we will be at TwitchCon in October on the wrestling panel showing the fellas, because we're the only ladies on the panel, showing the fellas what we do. And so that's my first announcement. I will have a graphic. There's graphics, wasn't really fond of it, and so I'm gonna make this a beautiful graphic. If you've seen any of my other graphics previously for any panel I've done, I'm gonna make this one pop for real. And so I will be posting that hopefully the next couple of days. But this is my first official announcing that me and TK will be there, and so that should be awesome.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so glad you're getting to do that with TK. Oh my God. That's amazing. And then the fact that y'all are gonna be the only women, y'all hold it down. Hold it down. I'm so excited for y'all. That's so great. So please be on the lookout for that. And of course, Katrina is the queen of graphics. So if you do need graphics done, go to her. Please. Go to her. Go to her. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing.
So sweet. Not the queen, but I've gotten doing these panel graphics has made me so much better at doing stuff and making it better. And so, I do a little something, something.
And the something you do is fantastic. Okay. But yeah, that's so great. Congratulations to you too. I can't wait to see, what comes of that. That's great. Because TwitchCon isn't a convention I've ever been to myself, but it does sound pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm really glad that y'all are doing that. That's fantastic. But as for me, you can find me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram, Twitter /X, and Threads. I forgot the name of it. Just like that, at Queen Steph Hardy. Of course, listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your shows. At Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and of course, subscribe on YouTube at The Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And just continue to support me in my wrestling career. I did just do commentary, play-by-play / color commentary with Luis at Spartan Wrestling's Meltdown in Gaston, Alabama. I thank them for allowing me into that space to do commentary for the very first time. That was really cool. And hopefully I will continue to do more commentary work, book your girl, book your girl, book your girl. And just continue to just support Women's Wrestling Talk. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. Go on www.talkpod.com for all the latest news, interviews, of course, our website is brand spanking new. Check that out. And then we also have amazing merchandise that you can purchase. And we might have more on the way. So continue to be on the lookout for that. And just support all of us in every which way imaginable when it comes to wrestling and just in life, period, because we are still figuring it out, but at the same time, we're still remaining steadfast and loving wrestling the way that we do and loving women's wrestling the way that we do too. So yeah, let's just continue to love on women's wrestling as much as we can and to continue to uplift it and uplift ourselves, because it's so easy to just fight and just be angry, but it takes a lot of faith and a lot of work to show love to each other and not just be rah all the time. So let's just not be rah and just love each other and hug each other, because it's we all love this thing. So let's love this thing and love each other. Okay. So with that in mind, this has been the Wow Superheroes After Show on Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. They're the twos and we the ones. We'll see y'all later on the next episode. So until next time, have an amazing week and bye, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.